I think history obviously goes way, way back. Yeah, people's interest in history is more practical sometimes. Yeah, they're not really interested in the history as such, but they just like to know what happened in the past. Art is, again, something people like visual. Yeah, I mean, we have 15,000 years ago in Indonesia, in Kalimantan, we have the hand paintings, where they put the hand on the wall and then spat red dye over the hand, over the fingers, and that was religious significance. So, that was the visual form, yeah, in caves, and again done for, we don't really know, but I mean obviously for religious reasons. Yeah, there was some spiritualism there, and that those hand paintings are replicated on in Mosul, Raja Ampat. 15,000 years ago, Ice Age, you could actually walk from Kalimantan to Papua. So we have the same paintings, cave paintings. Indonesia now has more cave paintings like that than anywhere else in the world. It used to be France, but now Indonesia has. And again, that's exciting. I mean, there's a lot of interesting information there. When you really analyze the types of hand, the size of hand, where children, women, men, there's a lot of information you get out of that story. Really fascinating what people can do. So art is something that people like. They like to look at things. I mean, people like to see themselves. I mean, all the kings who had money could get good painters to do glamorous pictures, not photos, but paintings of them, slim, etc., or rich looking, etc. So people like the visual. Yeah, they want to see something, and sometimes you leave it there for posterity. Like with the Hindus here, you have all of the kings, Indonesian kings from 6, 7, 8, 9, 12 centuries would have statues made of themselves looking like gods. Yeah, so again, this is the visual art. Here in the old wing, there is a big statue, 4 meters 20. Bharava is King Aditya Warman, we think, and that was found in Sumatra, and has a lot of syncretism. Yeah, in the head piece, in the hair, is a small Buddha. He's holding a skull, which is Tantric Buddhism. He's holding a Omani knife, an Indian Arabic knife. On the belly button is a big Kala head. Yeah, so again, this is a statue, 4 meters 20, was probably a memorial stone, a memorial commemorative stone for King Aditya Warman. But it looks like a god, yeah? So that was their technique at that time. Yeah, they wanted to make themselves look bigger and have something for posterity. So people, were eager not to disappear off the face of the earth. With Hinduism, you had reincarnation. So they knew, they were king now, they would come back, hopefully they would be God next time they came around. They would move up, not down the scale. So, I mean, art in that respect, was people wanting to see, wanting maybe to leave image behind them when they disappeared. I wouldn't say I was avid art expert. What draws me to history and culture is the variety. And being able to think yourself into that situation. So, here at the museum, Nasional, you can absorb yourself into time past. I mean, we have the time travel sculpture there, and that's really what I find attractive. Yeah, you can imagine yourself, 200, 400, 500 years ago. Yeah, what was it like here in Indonesia? So that's really what attracts me personally. Yeah, is the variety. And Indonesia is a huge country, 17,504 islands. There's 300 different ethnic groups, 500 languages, 300 dialects. So a lot of variety. And on the artistic side here, again, tremendous variety. Textiles, for instance, yeah? I mean, Tanah Toraja, very distinct, yeah? In Sumatra, distinct. You go to Papua, is distinct. NTT, distinct. Bali, distinct. Yeah. So every island, every area here has their own culture. And it's really interesting. When you go through a textile museum, like here, Museum Textile, just round the back, the design variety is so exciting. Yeah, so for a designer in Europe, in the world, rest of the world, coming here, looking at these thought processes that have gone on in different cultures, they're really exciting. I'm sure it gives them ideas. Yeah, so that's what I find attractive. Obviously, no, and that's every country, not just Indonesia. I think most people in their own countries don't value what they have. I went to university next to the Tower of London. Yes, it's a 1099 building. I never went inside. 4 years, never went inside. 15 years later, my nephew came from Australia, and I thought, where's he going to go? Buckingham Palace, Downing Street, oh yeah, Tower of London. Yeah, and then I went in. But when you're there, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. And it's the same here with Museum Gajah, yeah? I mean, a lot of people come when they're 5 at school, and they come back when they're 55 with their 5-year-old nephew, grandkids, whatever. So when it's there on your doorstep, you don't value it. When it's gone, then you value it. And I think, culture is a little bit like that. When it's around you, you think, so what? Yeah. I mean, gamelan, is a dying art form. People don't want to learn, but there are enough people. It will continue to go on. Making the gongs again, is a skilled process. Not enough young Indonesians are following that trade. So eventually, these will become antique. Yeah, you won't have many new instruments being made maybe in 20, 50, 100 years' time. I mean, already now they are trying to go back to 1 meter gongs, but at the moment, they can't get above 1 meter. Their grandparents used to do 120, 130, but now when they get to 90-something, the bottom edge starts to crack. Yeah, so the technology you would think is advanced, but the technique of actually doing it is going backwards. So, things are dying out. We need to preserve what we have before it's too late, yeah? So you need to be aware of what we have and value it, monetize it, yeah? So I think Indonesia has a lot of culture, and it may not get enough support. But it's like everything in an economy, it's got to be a balance. Yeah? You have to have enough income to spend money on preserving culture. A lot of people, culture is nothing worth having. But to me, the biggest industry waiting to happen in Indonesia is tourism. And tourists want to see something different. Yeah? So all of these things that we have here are of great value to Indonesian visitors. Yeah? Indonesians from other provinces also will be tourists, are tourists, so they will also want to see. They need to see something different. I mean, Indonesia, the big value here is the huge variety. I mean, 265 million people, yeah, 17,504 islands. Yeah, there's a lot of variety here, a lot of potential for tourism waiting to happen. Again, it's that balance. Yeah, people need to be able to eat before they will go and look for beautiful things. Yeah, so there needs to be that balance. Indonesia is getting to that stage now where the middle class is growing. People want to have more good design at home, so they will spend more on cultural things, on textiles, on batiks, on Indonesian handicrafts. And that again, is producing jobs, employment for other people in the provinces. I mean, we have 75,000 villages in Indonesia. Yeah, 25,000 really are deprived, need real support from the government, yeah, from others. So, these are things that you've got to balance. Yeah, you've got to improve people's life, then they will enjoy it more. Yeah, and they will value what they have. I think awareness obviously is becoming more important, is becoming more prevalent. People value what they do have. About 5 or 6 years ago, the German embassy and the Goethe Institute arranged an exhibition of Raden Salah's work at Galerie Nasional. They were expecting 2,000 or 3,000 to visit the exhibition over a 2-week period. They were getting that every day. There was a huge demand. Young Indonesians were queuing to get into Galerie Nasional, look at Raden Salah's work. And that is to me was a really positive sign. Yeah, people were interested in their culture. As Indonesians, they're not tourists, but it is something that Indonesia can sell. Yeah, I mean, Raden Saleh is in a way unique. He was sent off to the Netherlands when he was 17. He was a child prodigy, probably at the age of 11. He was a very good artist, very young. He was sent to Holland. He stayed there, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. Came back to Indonesia, didn't like it, and then he went to Germany for 10 or 15 years. So his training was in Europe, and his identity is obviously Indonesian. So he was able to mix that. And I mean, some of the Raden Saleh paintings, drawings, they're very inspirational. Yeah. But most of them are in private ownership, and people, general public, won't see them, and that's sad. Yeah, so occasionally we will have Raden Saleh on show. I mean, we've just had in I can't remember where it was sold. Was it in New York or somewhere? One of Raden's works was $8.8 million. Yeah, I mean, just last week. The most valuable Indonesian piece of art so far. Yeah, but this is an awareness now, and the purchaser was Indonesian. We don't know who, but it will come back to Indonesia, but it will go into a private collection. Somebody will have it in their room, house, their lounge, whatever, and people won't be able to see it, and that's sad. Yeah, I mean, there needs to be more on display in galleries, you know, Nasional, other galleries around the country, and not just Jakarta. I mean, we have a huge potential audience, yeah, but we need to do something there. Whether we do virtual, you know, we have the paintings on 90-inch screens, whatever. You know, we have a virtual museum where people can see things that are actually the live original is in somebody's private collection at home. Yeah, people cannot go visit. Yeah, so again, this is, I mean, he's obviously a major, very prolific Indonesian artist, and most people will never see his work, the real. I mean, they can see maybe photos. Yeah, but again, this is something Indonesia itself needs to address. Yeah, we need more public ownership of things like that, so that people have a public display. Yeah, can actually see it. I think at the moment we are still finding our feet in Indonesia. I think a lot of Indonesians don't really value art in the same way commercially as is happening around the world. Yeah, I mean, you go to Ancol, you know, you have the art area there. You know, I mean, they're selling for very little money. Maybe, you know, we need to increase the value of what is being produced here. But again, I think the awareness is increasing. Yeah, people are becoming more aware. We have more galleries. We have a lot of private galleries in Indonesia, in Jakarta, selling Indonesian artists' work. And again, you need that sort of infrastructure. Yeah, the people that painting need to be able to sell it. They need to monetize it. And that's really, I think, the way the future. Yeah, is to look at what we have and improve on what we've got. Yeah, and let everybody win. Yeah, this has to be win-win. Yeah, the one that we were talking about earlier, the Raden Saleh Diponegoro painting. Yeah, I mean, I mean, the story behind it is fun. Yeah, I mean, it is in a way like a cartoon. Yeah, where he put Indonesians same level as the Dutch, and then he gave the Dutch a bigger head. You know, really poking fun at the Dutch. I mean, that was 18-something, 50s. I can't remember when that particular painting was produced. But yeah, I mean, that to me, you know, what I like about it is the story behind it. Yeah, is not just looking at it, but I mean, even the technicality of it. You know, the way the structure of it, yeah, is very, very not modern, but I mean, it's very developed. I mean, he was, as I say, trained in Holland and Germany, yeah, as an artist. But he comes from an Indonesian background and eventually came back to Indonesia. But I think most of his work really was using what he'd learned in Europe. Yeah, so that was fun. Yeah, that was interesting. So, you know, he's a good bridge. But we have many, many young Indonesian artists there who are struggling. I mean, artists in the world are always struggling. Artists never make money until they're dead. Yeah, and then they don't benefit. Yeah. But I mean, that's sad. Yeah, but that's the way, you know, that happens in Paris, in London, you know, New York. Artists who have a very creative mind, they can't sell. yeah, and somebody else makes the money. So we need to address that. We need to arrange a system where young artists get paid for what they're doing. Yeah, the money doesn't just go to a commercial organization, yeah, some art gallery that's making money from their work. Yeah, so I think that is one thing we could do, improve profitability for the artist. Otherwise they won't continue, obviously, they will die. They will starve to death.